that's awesome. I want engaging conversations that just naturally people want to like follow and stuff. Because again, this is how things change. This is how we're able to break down um, a lot of barriers and get through, work through a lot of pain that both sides are feeling that no one can really talk about. So, anyway, but
Yeah.
Donna, I'm excited you're here too.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is awesome. Get
yeah,
us all in one room together.
awesome. It's meant to
Hmm.
be, meant to be.
Yep. So, yeah, so you had those questions, Shayla. You want to start with those or where are we gonna
Oh, well, yes, I would love to. I mean, because we're
dive right in?
tossing around some stuff. Well, because Roman and I have been talking, and I'm like, okay, I want to hear more about, Roman's
Mm.
experience with stuff too.
Yeah,
Um, so I
Yes,
don't know, Roman, are you okay with
absolutely.
sharing a little bit about like what your view of what
mm,
your takeaway message was, maybe as a kid around like what sex was or wasn't, whether pleasure was good for your body, was sinful or shameful? Because I know that
mm.
the other women have been talking about a lot about how that was the message that we got.
Yeah, sure. So about like growing up, if let's say pleasure or sex was like encouraged or like what's the takeaway from my childhood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
who encouraged your family members?
Mhm.
They were all for,
Mm.
Were they
they,
talking about it?
yeah.
No, not really. No. So I would say that's pretty common, but that it was like there was a lot of shame around it. We didn't really like there was no open conversation about it. I never had to talk with my parents. um, hmm, yeah, no, it was pretty. Yeah, at home we never talked about it, and neither with my mom, neither with my dad. Um, I would say my dad was pretty, well, in general, pretty closed up with his emotions. So I didn't learn how to access my emotions from him. It's if he's listening, it's not a judgment. It's just how I was growing up. um, and let's put it like that. In my circle of friends that I had growing up, like in my teen years as well, um, sexuality was more hmm, like I would say the standard, the stereotypes. So the you just yeah, like you just do it as a man, there with no pleasure, with no depth in it. So just nice, you got lucky, like well, good, well played, well, good for you. And that yeah, and that's all. And there was not it wasn't until like I don't know, my late 20s that I started like finding people, men as well, that I could have like deep conversation about it and yeah, going more in depth and how we really feel and not how conditioning tells us to.
So it
Yeah.
it almost kind of sounded like and because you weren't taught that, it could be pleasurable, it was more of like an act, something to do. Kind of is that kind of how it was in society? It was just more of like something you could like check off your list as far as like becoming a man. It's just you just have sex, but you don't necessarily have the pleasure with it.
Yeah, it was more like a question mark around it. And I never went to my parents to talk about it, but it was more like okay, there's this thing, okay, sexuality, okay, I'm gonna go and do my own research, you know, Like I'm not gonna openly talk about it in my family, so to say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So did you have any influence on any kind of religion or spirituality or anything? Was that any involved at all?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Cool. Yeah, that was one good
Yeah.
thing you didn't have to battle or, confront, so that's a good thing. So you said you did some research on
Well,
your own or just,
no, that
was
was
it
just a
books or
metaphor.
just like other guys?
No, that was more like a metaphor, like me, like in my
Oh,
own room, like studying what it could be. And yeah, but also with my friends, we never really talked about it,
mhm.
like how is it for you? How like uh, what like I don't know, maybe what do you like, or do you find porn normal? Like, that kind of stuff. And yes, of course, then the whole topic of pornography comes in, and that just screws you up from a very young age if that's your first start of with yeah, that's your first encounter point with sexuality.
Yeah.
um yeah, but luckily no religion and no, like, I
Yeah,
don't
no
know.
cultural thing or anything
No
like that.
condition, no
Exactly.
preconditioning, just nothing.
Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. What? Okay, so the pornography, if that's your first reference point, how do you think that influenced you? Like, for the
Oof.
positive or the negative or the
Hmm. Like, I don't see, now that I think of it and reflect of it, no, I don't see anything good out of it.
Hmm.
Like, really, it's damaging. And I'm doing some angel healing on myself, like to remove these imprints of pornography, because they are in the, like, it's like a brainwash, if you want. It's really in the brain. And there's nothing good about it. Like, I can talk about, like, the male's perspective. Like, if that's your first encounter, you see that, and okay, first of all, okay, so you need to like to last, I don't know, hours. Then you learn that women do all kind of stuff, and that they just do them with pleasure. And there's absolutely no depth and no conversation around it. Yeah, no communication whatsoever. So yeah, really, oh, it's, yeah, really damaging. And when I went, like, I don't, to clubs or something with my friends, like, in, like, I would say around 20, that's the standard you think you have to be at, you have to reach.
hmm.
And no, I'm really like, if younger men are listening, no, that's not the standards that you have to reach. Definitely not.
I love hearing that perspective. I love hearing that perspective. Just the whole business.
okay, this is
Um,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say this is just like a off the top head from this for porn because I really never watched it like when I was younger. I
Okay.
watched it like when I was older and stuff like that just to see. And I agree there's no depth or anything like that. But this is crazy, but did you learn any like
Mm.
things that you can use from it, like different things that make other people, give pleasure or, those different techniques?
Well, I would say one thing, like, if you were to I don't know, to go on the internet and to consume some porn. Yes, why not do it? But do it use it as I don't know, as an inspiration, as a fantasy. Why not? Yeah, let it um not influence, but I'm looking for the word yeah, let's fantasize about it, but don't let it become like the standard of sex. No, really not.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I find it kind of fascinating because first of all, you've got these women doing all kinds of stuff with no thought about what they want or no thought about consent, no thought about conversation. It's like, isn't that fascinating? Right? And yeah, it's going to go on for hours and hours. And there's no communication. It's just an act. And there's what? No pleasure? Like,
No, is
like,
it
oh my
real?
God.
Is it real? Do they get pleasure from it? Or is
Because
it
when
just
I
like
think
fake?
of sex like as an ideal thing, it's like well, okay, what I imagine that a lot of women think about sex is that it brings people closer. It's a point of contact, it's a point of communication, it's a point of interaction. And damn it, yeah, it'd be nice if it gave you pleasure, but women don't get a lot of that, and they don't get a lot of this because they get a lot of that pornography stuff and that male attitude about it that the men probably got from pornography or they got from other men or just from like this
Mm.
collective consciousness about how it's supposed to be just as like something to do as like this
Yeah,
activity,
just
and
like
then
I
notching
don't
your belt, but
if you
um,
do a workout or something
yeah,
like
yeah, right.
oh, no, guys, no.
Whereas I think if you talk to most women, what they really want is that point of connection. So I find it like there's the like the first major problem that I see with the whole thing.
I, yeah, I was about to ask, is for the women's perspective, isn't that what, you don't want us to perform, or to run a marathon, like
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got what you're saying. Um, I just wanna have fun. So I'm just like, whatever that
fun.
means.
Well,
I'm
there's
like,
pleasure,
whatever,
there's
like,
fun, there's why not, right?
about that connection, and it is about that intimacy. And I think when you have that, it's helping bring like that pleasure. You're both into it, and it's not like a performance. And there's not the expectation of, hey, you have to last until I'm fucking done and satisfied. I mean, like, yeah.
Right?
Again, I feel like it's all about respecting both sides and what is good for them. Yeah, what feels good. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents on that.
I think the
Oh,
woman
yeah.
actually likes the pre stuff
Mm.
before the actual act because that
Okay.
actually gets everybody all ready. And then you can really feel like the intimacy, talking about already a connection, not just talking about porn shit, nothing like that. I mean, because that's just all like, a big show thing. It doesn't have any meaning or depth. But like working up to it, I feel that's where you can get, if you don't have a lot of connection in the beginning, I feel that will bring you some connection where you take your time and you get to know the person's body. And women love that. I mean, I know I do. But so I'm a woman. So I like that feeling where that makes you closeness. That makes you closer,
Mm.
that way. So I think that act starts everything rolling. But and if some people watch porn while I'm gonna like, that's distracting. And I hear all them woo woo and all that moaning shit, you know, forget it. But this is what I'm feeling that, this is how you get also connected with your partner. But I like that deep. I mean, I wanted to have a one night stand once. Just I never did, just to see how it would be. And I was gonna try it. Well, actually, I was gonna do a one night stand. And I couldn't do it. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and I ran away. It was crazy, but it was fun. But I wanted to try just to see. But I needed that mental connection. I'm that type of a woman, and I think most women are like that. I think men get their connection when they're having sexual activity with the woman. Maybe they get a little bit more connection, but I think women want connection before they actually do. This is what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
throwing
that's
it
really
out there.
interesting. Yeah.
Well, in my experience, when you have sex and there is no connection, it's like, this is bad sex. This is just like, what the hell are we doing here? I'm glad that I was an object for you to jerk off with, because this
Yeah, but
is bad.
you didn't get anything
You
out.
know, it's like, gee, thanks that I was here, you know, but no thanks. Sorry,
Was it your
I
mind
was
though?
even
It
part
was
of
your
it.
mind, Robin. It was your
Uh,
mind that wasn't there. But could you act? You didn't have any physical pleasure with that? Was anything? Were you able to get
No,
any
you feel
physical?
used and you feel like an object, and it's like,
Well,
what
wait.
the hell?
No, but because you didn't see. Now I'm thinking if you wanted this one night stand and you're like willing to try it out, would you think your body would react? See, I don't know
Oh,
anything.
well, if you're having fun and it's a one night stand, that's a whole different story.
Well, yeah,
If you're
that's what
like,
I
let's
mean. If you're
explore
having
something,
fun.
let's have fun, let's do something. I mean, been there,
Okay,
done that
so
too.
now the question is, why didn't you have fun? Like,
Well, because if there's no communication,
uh,
I mean,
So you
so
just
if
can't
you're
have
not
sex
having
and sex.
fun and there's no communication, it's almost the equivalent of rape. I mean, it's like, okay, rape with consent, but it's not fun, you know? And whereas if you're having fun, if there's communication, if you're like, hey, let's check this out. What do you think? Would you like that? That's more fun. That's like an exploration. That's kind of like, yeah, let's just do something wild and see what happens. But there's no communication at all, it's like, this is dreary. You know? It's just an action. Just an action, nothing more, nothing less. You know?
like I'm always surprised. Like I listened to a podcast. I think it's a German guy who like he talks about masculinity and about like the changing role of masculinity in society. And he did a podcast on sex, and he was sharing about his like he has a protocol when and it's not about like blaming or anything, but like he was explaining his protocol during sex. So he's like, okay, when I have sex with a woman, like I do these three things, and I'm just like, hey, well, good, but like there's so much more. There's so much more depth here. Like it's
So what are the three things?
yeah,
Inquiring minds
What
want to
are the
know.
three things?
I can't
What are
remember.
these
Like
three things?
it's like it's I think it was like um first oral stuff, then the actual part, and then the last one I don't remember. But like
Oh, good. Let's check it off the list,
yeah, right. And like
Right?
yeah,
Check off. You're right.
for me, I always get the picture. Okay, like I'm doing a workout. Like I'm doing, I preheat, then I do the workout, and then like, but what I want, what like the message that I really want to to get through today is like we as men, we need to get more into our bodies and to really feel. It's all about feeling. And from my experience, if you do that as a man, if you really feel like there you have that connection with the woman. And
Mhm.
that's going to be like really fun. That's going to be good sex.
Oh, I guarantee it's going to be much more fun if it's connection.
Yeah. But
Way more fun.
Do you
Because
feel
then you have two people who are curious and exploring and just want to have fun, Whereas if you've got like somebody who's like kind of on the fence or feeling used or something, it ain't fun. It's just not.
You feel like men should communicate or what ask the woman like what they would like to do before they even do it, try anything with them, or you just do it and say if that's okay, or you know,
Mm,
how would you like, now this is a night, this is a connection, with the person, and you're have a relationship. This is not just sex and in the city,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like that
Mm.
for men.
Well, I think like like also here it depends. Like you can't have like you can say it's either that or that. But if you're in a relationship, I would advise like yeah, talk about it. But in my experience, like women also like if we take the leading role, definitely, and just do it. And how are we gonna like really be in that leading role if we're fully into our bodies and if we just feel and listen to our, I would say, I call them like masculine instinct or intuition, and just yeah, just really follow that.
Hmm.
Mm. Well, now I have a question since you're right. I think a lot of women like men to take the leading role, but is that what men want to do? I mean, I think it all comes down to, being flexible with each other and,
Yeah,
taking turns, whatever. But in general, um, I don't know, do men want to take the lead when it comes to that? Or
Yeah,
would
do
they
they want
prefer
to?
a
Are they
woman to say,
comfortable with that?
this is what I want to do it this way or whatever? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, also here, I think it depends. Like, I think most men do, yeah, because that's like masculine energy, like to lead, to take initiative. But it like how I see it, like if you when you attract a partner that's always in resonance with your masculine and feminine energy. So if you have like 80% masculine energy and 20% feminine energy, you're going to attract a partner that's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah, that's cool. Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, I think I don't know, do like that's yeah, I think it really depends on the couple. Like how is it from a women's perspective? Like, do you guys prefer to do both, or just prefer to do just one thing?
it can
I,
go either way,
yeah,
but
Gotta be back and forth, right?
yeah. I felt in the beginning though I liked my partner to initiate it.
Yeah.
Okay, but then after a while, if I wanted something and it wasn't initiated, then I'm like going to do the moves to initiate my partner, you know. And then the longer that you're with your partner, they'll know what you like and they'll do what you want. But sometimes you just have to tell them. And sometimes you try new things that work and don't work. And so, I've tried some things that was horrendous, just little things before the sexual pleasure. And I turned my partner off. He got scared of me. So you got to be careful, which, I wanted to try something new. And, I thought this would excite the other person, but it worked the other way. So also that could go like if the man tries something new on a woman, it could work that way too. And kind of like put them out of the mood and say, oh no, I just can't do this. Or it triggers this, I told you about the example
Hmm.
I did. And I scared him. I just like cut his shirt off and then he got all crazy. It wasn't really bad, but I didn't think so. But then he started to think of like, Bobbitt and all these people that cut off people's parts and stuff. And he said, I get it. He said, hold on a minute. I said, oh, this doesn't seem sexy to you. I was trying to be like sexy, and I did it.
Hmm.
So I think we have to be careful on respecting other people. I kind of learned that lesson.
An expensive shirt.
It was only a white, like an undershirt, so it was okay.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess, but it didn't work.
I was gonna say in my culture slash religion growing up, it was always expected. It was always, whether it was directly told or it was just the unspoken rules that you somehow knew. It was that women couldn't necessarily initiate sex. Like once they were married, it was like it all had to come from the man. So it's like, what about our sexual desire? What about this? Like, and so I don't know for how the first how many years of being married, like I would feel like I could not initiate sex because I wasn't the man. And so eventually I kind of got over that. But I think that that's something that plays into the way that we behave around each other, around sex. Like some people feel like they can't even move during sex. Other people, it's like you can only do one position. A lot of people won't communicate during sex, and also like the expectation that my partner should know automatically what they're doing. Again, this was like all this stuff that even carried into Mormonism, because it was just like all of a sudden you're married, sex is now possible, and it's great, and it's all these things that we've told you it's not. Have at it. And you're just like you're stunted. It's just like what the
Yeah.
fuck, and like trying to figure things out. And so I even though it was like horrendously embarrassing, as my husband and I were both virgins, and so it's like we got to figure this out, and we have to talk and communicate about it, otherwise things are going to suck for both of us. And yeah, but I know it's hard having those conversations, and sometimes even now, like things change over time with your partners. Even with we've been married for like 18 years, and things change, and it's a matter of being able to have those conversations with each other and see where each other is at, especially since now I'm at a point where I have access to more of my healed sexuality and like the sacral chakra energy. It's like I want to know what I'm capable of now. Like, fuck all the shame and everything else that I've had to live with. I wanna have fun and explore this. Like, what does this mean for me right now? Um, so yeah, definitely having, like, a lot of the conversations around it, even when it is painfully awkward and difficult, but sometimes you can just end up fucking laughing in the middle of it all. But yeah, and foreplay, I meant to say that at the very beginning. Foreplay, and then yes, then you can go wherever you want. I think that's
Yeah.
most women.
And I like the idea of play, I think that's such an important word. You know?
Yeah.
Play here, Why not keep it playful? Keep it light, keep it playful, and like, you know, I kind of feel like a lot of women are even afraid to say, "Yeah, I like that. Give me more of that." I mean, I feel like even to that level, like a lot of people just don't even communicate. And I feel like that's where somebody feels left out of the communication. Somebody's out of the conversation. And if there's not ongoing conversation, there's no play. It's not fun. It really isn't. So yeah.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
the notion of fun is so important. Yeah,
Mm,
thanks for
fun
bringing
and
that. Yeah,
play.
yeah, and especially like I don't know, your first times, you don't know what the hell you're doing, so explore and just and really like I'm saying this again, but I like this can't be stressed enough. Like, don't measure don't equal sex with pornography. No, find out what it is for you.
Yes, yes. And don't judge like women based on some pornographic image that you've got or some fantasy too, because it's not real. You know, and women feel like less than a lot because they're not doing all these things. So, you know, it goes both ways.
So there's pressure on everyone.
Yeah, there's pressure on everyone. And yeah, if you don't know what you're doing or you're not comfortable, you can bet the other person doesn't have a clue either. So why not investigate, you know?
Yeah.
Don't make any assumptions, you know? Like there's the thing. It's like you could be as adventurous as you want. And yes, I love it when a guy is like taking the lead and stuff like that. It's great. It's cool, you know? But know that it can be flexible. Know that things can change and if things aren't going one way, it can turn another way, you know? And it's got to be that way. It's got to be fun and flexible and playful and joyful. It should be joyful, you know? There's got to be joy in this.
Yes.
Otherwise, what's the point? Are you doing this for procreation? Hell no, because we have birth control now. You don't need to do it for that unless you actually want to have a kid, you know?
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it all comes down like if you see it from an energetic point of view, yeah, it's the second chakra. So play and fun and laughter